Hello everybody, how are you? So good morning, good evening, or good afternoon all around the world. So if you don't know me, my name is Nicole, and I'm in Spokane, Washington in the United States. And today we're going to review past simple, and we're also going to talk about past continuous. All right. So just a reminder, if you want to be a premium subscriber gets extra stuff with each lesson. For example, I always send the notes that I type up after each lesson. You get homework, you get feedback, you can take quizzes, and most importantly, you get access to the Smrt website, which has lots and lots of material and lessons. So if you want to be a premium subscriber, oops, wrong button. We can go to this website right here. So smartenglish.com/live. And there you can find more information about becoming a premium subscriber. But of course, you can watch the videos for free, which is a really awesome thing, I think. All right. If you watched my last video, then you saw that we talked about past simple. We mostly talked about how to make past simple. And we talked a little bit about when we use past simple. So we're going to take just a few minutes and review why we use past simple. So let's take a look. Here we go. Okay, so for past simple, we use past simple for a past action that is now finished. And I have a few examples here from last time. Last time we wrote these examples. We have, she watched the baseball game last night. I studied French when I was a high school student. That's a true story. They worked at the hospital for 2 years. Michael Jackson wrote some songs, and I was born in Fairchild. Fairchild's the name of a place. Okay, those are some examples of past simple, but I think it's still a little bit difficult to understand. Because how do we know if a past action is finished? Like, what does that really mean? So I made a list here that I think will help us. It'll help us understand when is a past action really finished. And let's go through these together. First, if you have a specific past time, this means the action is finished. For example, if you say last night, yesterday, 2 days ago, or in 1999, this is a specific past time. So we know this action is finished because now it is not yesterday. It is not 1999. It is not 2 days ago right now. So we know this action is absolutely finished. And our example here with last night is she watched the baseball game last night. So this is a specific past time. Okay, and then we'll read the other ones, and then I'll stop and check the chat for any examples that you write or to answer any questions. We have a couple more though. Another way we know if a past action is finished is if it can't happen again. If an action can't happen again, it is finished. Our example sentence is Michael Jackson wrote some songs. Michael Jackson is dead. He can't write more songs. So write songs, this can't happen again. So we know this action is finished, absolutely finished, 100% finished. It can't happen again. Okay, I have a couple more. Okay, we know a past action is finished if we have a period of time that doesn't continue now. A period of time that doesn't continue now. For example, they worked at the hospital for 2 years. This means 2 years in the past. It doesn't continue now. If it continues now, we'll use a different grammar point. We'll use present perfect. I talked a little bit about that last time, and we'll study present perfect later on too. But it's a more difficult grammar point. Okay, and we have one more. And the last one here says 2 plus. This means 2 or more. So if you have 2 or more past actions that happened at different times, we can use past simple. For example, here it says, I woke up and I ate breakfast. This means first I woke up and then I finished waking up. So first I woke up, I finished this action, then I ate breakfast and I finished that action. So I woke up, finished that, I ate breakfast, finished that. These are 2 actions at different times in the past. Whew, that's a lot of reasons. But they're all the same idea. The same idea that the past action is finished. These here, I'll put them all on the same page here. There we go. These are just all different ways we know if something is finished or not. So I'm going to stop for a moment and take a look at the chat, and I'll write any examples that you guys wrote, and also I'll see if we have any questions here. All right. So good morning, everybody. All right. Very nice. All right. Okay. So looks like we don't have any questions so far, but let's take a couple minutes and see if we have any examples. Let's make some examples together. I'll make some too. So for specific past time, I can say, last weekend, I relaxed with my family. Here, last weekend is an example of a specific time. Something that can't happen again, I can say Shakespeare wrote some famous poems. And we know that Shakespeare lived a long, long time ago, and he can't write poems anymore. For a period of time that doesn't continue now, I can say I taught English in Japan for 2 years. That's a true story too. I taught English in Japan for 2 years, but we know this is finished because now I'm not in Japan. I'm in Spokane, Washington. So we know this is finished, absolutely finished. Okay. And then an example for 2 past actions at different times. I can say, let's see, yesterday I taught vocabulary and I taught reading. I didn't teach vocabulary and reading at the same time. First, I taught vocabulary, and after that, I taught reading. Okay, let's see if we have any example sentences in the chat. All right. Oh, I do have a question from Sergey. It says, Nicole, let me ask you to make some examples with render. In past tense, render is a new word for me, and how often do you use it? Usually, I use the word render, and I'm going to write it here, for cooking. So, for example, we can render fat when we're cooking, and that means like when you cook, so it kind of like grills the fat on a piece of meat. So I'll give you an example here. So maybe when I made duck is a bird, but you can cook it and you can eat it. So when I made duck last night, I first rendered the fat. Another meaning for render is to leave something in a different state, like a different condition. Usually we use this in a negative way. I'll give you an example. So maybe the accident rendered him helpless. So before the accident, he was not helpless. But after the accident, he was helpless. So now he is in a different state, a different condition. So I hope that answers your question, Sergey. So 2 different examples with the word render. That is a difficult word. Good. Okay, let's see any more. Okay, we have some examples. Let's see. Angela wrote, last year I worked as a Portuguese teacher at the university. Perfect, very good, because last year is a specific time. And this means you are not a Portuguese teacher right now. Very good. We have 2 years ago, I learned to play guitar. Very good. So this means 2 years ago, you learned this. Maybe you play now today, but you learned it 2 years ago. Very good. I watched a soccer game yesterday. Very nice. And yesterday, I went to the beach. Good. Very nice. Good, good, good. Okay. I studied in Liverpool for 1 year. Very good job. Oh, and Melina had a good example for render too. I'll add this one up here. She was rendered speechless upon hearing the news. So this means before she heard the news, she could speak. After she heard the news, she was so surprised. She couldn't speak anymore. So good example, Melina, for Sergey. All right, a couple more. Last year, I traveled to India and I visited the Taj Mahal. Very nice. Or 10 years ago, I graduated from university. They worked there 2 years ago. Last year, I discovered Smrt English live class. Oh, very good. Those are all really good examples. I think you have a good understanding of past simple. So I think we can move on now and we can talk about past continuous. So just like usual, first we'll talk about how to make past continuous. When we're finished, we'll talk about how to use past continuous. All right, are you ready? Ready? Okay, let's get started with past continuous. And if you're just joining us, past continuous can also be called past progressive. So different English grammar books use different words, but just so you know, if you've studied this before in other classes, past continuous is also sometimes called past progressive. But it's the same thing. Same thing, just a different name. Okay, here we go. So, past continuous. If you have the Smrt website, this is Grammar 3-2. And we have some examples to get started. We have a conversation. It says here, I called you last night, but you didn't answer. Oh, really? What time did you call? At around 11 o'clock. Oh, that's the problem. I was sleeping at 11 o'clock. We can see in this conversation, most of the verbs are past simple. I called you, past simple. You didn't answer, past simple. Did you call, past simple. It's just positive, negative, and question. But then, over here, it says, I was sleeping. This is an example of past continuous. You can probably guess from the sentence why we use it, but we'll talk about that in a few minutes. First, form. So let's look at how to make past continuous. So it says here, the past continuous can be made with be and a verb in its ing form. So verb ing. Let's look at a few examples for positive and negative sentences. If your subject is I, he, she, or it, we're going to use was for positive and wasn't or was not for negative. We, you, they, we're going to use were for positive and weren't or were not for negative. And then we put verb ing. So like, I was crying, or he wasn't eating, or we were sleeping, like that. So the important thing for this grammar point is don't confuse this grammar with present continuous. For present continuous, we use a present be verb. I'll give you an example. But students do this all the time. So present continuous, we're going to use am, is, or are. Past continuous, we're going to use was or were. And that's the only difference for form, for how to make. The ing is the same. And actually, all the grammar order, all the word order is the same too. The only difference for how to make present continuous and past continuous is present continuous, present be verb, past continuous, past be verb. But otherwise, it's the same. We make it the same way. All right. So let me see if we have any questions so far. Let's see. We had a few more examples. Oh, and a new student joining us. Very nice. And the new student joining us asked, how many times do you learn a week? So I teach this class 2 times a week, on Tuesday and Thursday at the same time. But there are also other teachers. We have Mark, Sean, Neil, and Josh, 4 other teachers, and they all teach, I think, twice a week too. Okay. All right, back to the slideshow presentation. Here's how we make yes or no questions with past continuous. First, we put our be verb, was or were. Next, we put our subject. And then last, we put our verb ing. So again, it's very, very similar to present continuous, if you remember that from a few weeks ago. And for short answers, so if someone asks you a question like this, you can answer like this. If someone asks, were you sleeping? You can answer, yes, I was, or no, I wasn't. Or were they eating? Yes, they were. No, they weren't. Always for short answer questions, we're going to use, or we're going to repeat the auxiliary verb. So the auxiliary verb for past continuous is was or were. Just like the auxiliary verb for past simple is did. Okay, good, good, good. A couple more examples. It says here, was it raining? We can say yes, it was, or no, it wasn't. Or was Amanda working? Yes, she was, or no, she wasn't. All right, very good. And just like usual, we can also make questions with question words. Question words are like who, what, where, when, like that. Those are question words. To make past continuous with a question word, we just put the question word at the beginning. That's it. Everything else is the same. We still begin with the auxiliary verb, the helping verb, and then our subject and our verb ing. Like, what was he doing? Or what were we doing? Like that. So, very, very easy grammar to make. The only difficult part for making this grammar is the spelling. There are some spelling rules that make this a little bit difficult. So let's look at the spelling rules for past continuous. Okay, here we go. So usually we add ing to a verb. That's pretty easy, right? For example, snow, we just add ing for snowing. Ring, ing for ringing. Watch plus ing for watching. Very, very easy. But of course, it's not always easy. Sometimes it's a little more difficult. Okay. So first, if a verb ends in E, remove it, like cancel it, and add ing. So here are some examples. Like make, making. Close, closing. Write, writing. So the last letter E, we're just going to cancel that, delete that, remove that, and add ing. Okay, that's not too bad. Okay, and this is the one that's a little bit hard. It says here, double the consonant and add ing if the verb ends with one stressed vowel and a consonant. Oh boy, that's a big sentence, huh? So don't worry, we're going to explain this. I'll talk about this very slowly. First, let's make sure we remember consonants and vowels. A consonant is a letter like this, B, C, D, F, G, blah, blah, blah. A consonant is the opposite of a vowel. Vowels are A, E, I, O, U. So vowels, A, E, I, O, U. Consonants, B, C, D, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so let's go back to the rule. We're going to double the consonant and add ing if the verb ends with one stressed vowel plus a consonant. Okay, let's look at some examples. So for example, we have run, stop, and swim. So the green letters are vowels, the orange letters are consonants. So if we have a stressed vowel plus a consonant, at the end of our word, we're going to double the consonant. So run, running. Stop, stopping. Swim, swimming. Let's look at some examples where we don't double the final consonant so we can see how it's different. Okay, here we go. It says here if the vowel is not stressed or there's more than one vowel, do not double the consonant. So let's take a look. In a word like open or meet, we're going to say opening or meeting. The reason we don't double the N for opening is the E is not stressed. A stressed sound is a strong sound. The word open has two sounds, open. But O is a very big, strong sound. It's louder, it's longer. That's what we mean by stress. And let me write this in our notes. A stressed sound is louder and longer than other sounds. It has more emphasis. So in the word open, there are two sounds. We have O is the first sound, and then pen is the second sound. The O is stressed. Open. So because this vowel, the E, is not stressed, we don't double. We just say, for ing, opening. So I'll give you a different example. Okay, but let me put the first word here. There we go. Commit. It's okay if you don't know what this word means. I just wanted to give you an example of a longer word. Commit has two sounds. The first sound is come, and then the second sound is mit. But here, the second sound is stressed. We say commit. See how the mit is much bigger and louder and longer? Commit. So the second sound here is stressed. We have vowel plus consonant, and it's a stressed sound. So we're going to double that consonant. Whew. I'm going to stop for a minute and look and see if we have any questions in the chat, because this is a little difficult. All right. So let's see. So someone, Monster Jazz, says that his comments have been deleted. So I'm not sure what happened there, but I will email that to Zach. I'm not sure what happened to that. But I will let Zach know that you're having some kind of problem. Okay. So very sorry, I don't know what's going on. But I will let Zach know that you're having some kind of trouble. Okay. So two sounds or two syllables, Rosa asked. So that's a good question, Rosa. So Rosa asks sounds or syllables. So here, when I say sounds, my meaning is syllables. A syllable is the sound in a word. So the word commit, for example, has two sounds or two syllables. So here I'm using these words like they're the same. It's just sounds is usually easier for most people to understand. All right, very good. Okay. So let's see. So just to review, to make past continuous, for positive, we say I, he, she, or it plus was plus verb ing. You, we, they plus were plus verb ing. For the negative, we say wasn't or weren't. And for the question, we're just putting our was or were at the beginning. All right, so here we go. We have just a little bit more information for past continuous today. Of course, we have to talk about use. When do we use past continuous? That's always the hard part, right? Is when do we use different grammar points? So here we go. It says here, the past continuous describes an activity that was in progress at a time in the past. That's a big idea. What this means is the activity started before the past time. Also, at the time, the activity was unfinished. Okay, this is a very difficult idea. But you remember at the beginning of this class, we talked about past simple. We can go back to our notes here, past simple. And we use past simple for a past action that is now finished. You can think of past continuous as the opposite. It's for an action that is unfinished in the past. So it's not finished in the past. It's a difficult idea though. So let's look at some examples, and then I'll talk more about what it means to be unfinished. So here we go. Here are some examples. It says here, it was raining at 9:30 a.m. So it was raining at 9:30 a.m. Okay. So this means it started raining before 9:30 and it finished raining after 9:30. So started before, finished after. So at 9:30, this past action was unfinished. So at 9:30, this past action was unfinished. Let's take a look. Okay, we can imagine that at 4 o'clock a.m., it started to rain. And at 3:30 p.m., it stopped raining. So at 9:30 a.m. in the middle, we can say it was raining because this is an unfinished action in the past. Okay, here's another example. It says at 3 a.m. last night, I was sleeping. So this means before 3 a.m. I started sleeping. After 3 a.m., I finished sleeping. But at 3 a.m., sleeping was an unfinished action. Okay, and here's a picture of that too, just like before. One more example. It says here we were studying at 3 p.m. So this means I started studying, or they started studying before and finished studying after. Okay. Sometimes we don't use past continuous with a time. We use past continuous with past simple together. Okay, let's look at an example and then we'll talk about it. Here it says, Mike was cooking dinner when I got home. So here, this means Mike started cooking dinner before I got home, and he finished cooking dinner after I got home. So was cooking is a long action, and it was unfinished when I got home. One more example like that. It says they were studying when I called. So this means they studied, study, call, study. So they started studying before I called. They finished studying after I called. So studying is unfinished at this time when I called. Whew, that's a lot of information, huh? Okay, let's stop there for just a moment and let's look at some notes and then I'll look at the chat. So let's scroll down here. Okay, this was how to make past continuous. And just like before, I wrote, how do we know if a past action is unfinished? First, it started before and finished after a specific time. 5 o'clock, 6:30, noon. So it was snowing at 5 p.m. So the snow started before and finished after. That's how we know it is unfinished, because we have a specific time and snowing started before and finished after. We can also use past continuous if it started before and finished after another past action. Just like this example we saw here. Like, I was walking and I saw a butterfly. This means walking, 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 butterfly. Walking, 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 walking. Walking started before and finished after this action right here, saw. And there's one more that the Smrt didn't talk about. It's more of an intermediate use, but I wanted to add it to our list just to be complete. If you have an action that happened at the same time and had the same duration as another past action, then we also use past continuous. And I have one example here. It says, she was talking and we were listening. She was talking and we were listening. These happened at the same time in the past. And they're both long actions in the past. So talking, 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 listening, 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 listening. Because talking and listening were not finished at the same time. They're both happening at the same time in the past. Does that make sense? So all of these are just different ways we can know if a past action is unfinished. If a past action is unfinished. Whew, okay. Let's take a look at the chat and see if we have any examples or questions for past continuous. Let's see. Okie dokie. So good. So we have some examples for the spelling, like drop, we're going to change to dropping. Very nice. Or sit, we're going to change to sitting. Good job, good job. Oh, I have a question from Rosa. Can we use past continuous after when? Oh, I guess Hala asked this question too. Yes, we can use past continuous after when. I'll give you an example. When I was driving, I saw a cat, for example. So you can use past continuous after when. That's okay. So we also use past continuous after while. I know some students have studied that before. After while, we can say while I was driving, I saw a cat. The important thing though is don't use past simple after while. That one doesn't work. For example, while I saw a cat, I was driving. Nope, we can't say that. But we can say, oops, let me unstrike through the second line here. We can say when I saw a cat, I was driving. That's okay. So when we can use before past simple or past continuous, but while is only before past continuous for this grammar. Okay, good question, Rosa and Hala. Okay, so let's see. Good. I was having dinner when my father got home. That's a great example. Let's write that here. Good job. Or my father got home when I was having dinner. So you're correct, Gerson Roag. Both sentences are right. Very good. So when I was learning English, my brother was learning Spanish. Yep, that's good too. And again, those are good examples answering Rosa and Hala's questions. And then Rosa asked again, I think we use while with past continuous and when with past simple. And almost perfect. And I'll just add that note here. We can use when with past simple and past continuous, but while just past continuous, not past simple. Oh, good question. Good question. Okay, so we have some more example sentences that I can write here. Let's see. My phone rang while I was studying. Very good. She was spending time with her baby when the husband came. Good. Maybe came home. Good. Okay. Let's see. We have another question. I reckon that when we use the connector when, we can express an interrupted action. On the other hand, while expresses two actions happening at the same time. So good. So that's a good explanation of while. While, one meaning of while is at the same time. So because one reason we use past continuous is to talk about actions that happen at the same time, while is okay. But we don't use past simple to talk about actions at the same time, because each action has to be finished before the next action. Like first I woke up, second I ate breakfast. We don't use past simple to talk about the same time. And you're right, that's why we can't use while. So good job. Okay, good. Let's see if we have any more questions or examples. Let's see. My friend called me while I was driving. Therefore, I wasn't able to answer. Very good. So I'll write that one here. It's nice to have some complex sentences. So, my friend called me while I was driving. So this part is past simple. This part is past continuous. This means I was driving before and after my friend called me. So my friend called me while I was driving. Therefore, I wasn't able to answer. So very good job, Stephen. We just need a semicolon and a comma in there. Very nice. So a few minutes ago, I was talking to my friend. That's another good sentence. A few minutes ago, I was talking to my friend. Good, because a few minutes ago is a specific time, and then was talking started before and finished after a few minutes ago. Good. Let's see. So let's see, Anthony asked a question. Does the word assassin have a stress vowel that it becomes doubled? No. That one is we double the rule for a different reason. Because it's not a verb. So it's not going to be because we're adding ing or anything like that. Assassin. So here we have assassin, which is 3 syllables. So let me just separate out the syllables. Okay. So we have 3 syllables, assassin. The reason we have double letters is to keep the previous vowels short. This is a big topic, but I'll just explain very quickly. I don't know if everyone knows short vowels and long vowels. A short vowel is like for the letter A, for like, let me actually just write them here. A, E, I, O, and U. These are the vowels. Actually, I'll do long vowels first because that's easier. Long vowels are the same as the name of the letter. So A sounds like A. E sounds like E. So for example, in the word fate, this A is a long vowel because it's the same sound as the name of the letter. So A, fate. Or this one here is also long. E, feet. The sound is the same as the name of the letter. Or this one, the U is long, and that's why we say cute. U, cute. The short vowels have different sounds. Like for example, this word, the A sounds different. It's like fat. Or for this one, if we say this, it's cut. Those are short vowels. Okay, so long and short vowels, there's many different spelling rules that affect if a vowel is short or if a vowel is long. Here's a quick rule, which will answer your question. So if a syllable ends with a consonant, the preceding vowel is short. If a syllable ends with a consonant, the preceding vowel is short. And I just want to make a note that this is not true for final syllables, like the last syllable in a word. Okay. If a syllable ends with a consonant, the preceding vowel, the before vowel, is short. So if we look here, this syllable ends with the consonant, so this is going to be a short A. This syllable ends with a consonant, S, so this vowel here is going to be short, That's why you have assassin. That's why we say assassin and not assassin. Does that make sense? So different reason, but that's why we have double letters. I'll give you a quick and easier example of that. Okay. You guys know the word, this word here, right? It's a very easy word, table. Table has 2 syllables. Table. This is not a real word here, table. But if we made this a real word, it would have different pronunciation. We wouldn't say table. we would say table, because this B makes this A a short vowel. So that is why we put double letters inside some other words. Words like nouns, for example, is to keep the preceding vowel short. To keep the preceding vowel short. Okay, actually it's kind of the same idea with the ing too. Is what we're doing is we're keeping those stressed vowels short. Whew, sorry, that was a big answer to your question. Got a little off topic. Let's go back to the chat and answer some more questions and write some more examples. Let's see. I have a question from Steve. Does while plus continuous sound a bit more formal than when plus continuous? While plus continuous and when plus continuous. Let me write an example for each one, and then we can compare. Let's see. While he was eating, he dropped his fork. Or we can say when he was eating, he dropped his fork. And Steve's question, is this one more formal? Does it sound more formal? And I think it does. I would say that this one sounds a little bit more formal, and that when sounds a little bit more casual. I know that in American English, not 100% on British English, but American English, we do use when more often in casual speech. So good question, Steve. All right. Ooh, I liked Jorge's example sentence. When I was eating my lunch, someone sneezed on it. Ew. Sneeze is like this. Good. Let's see if there's any more questions. All right, very nice. Another example from Natik. When I went downtown, I was driving at full speed. Very good. When I went downtown, I was traveling at full speed. Good, another good example. Because traveling at full speed started before and finished after I went downtown. Good questions, everybody, today. Very nice. So today, we talked about past simple. We did a little review. And then we started past continuous. We talked about how to make past continuous and also when we use past continuous. So next time, maybe we can begin with a little practice and see if we can choose the correct one, simple or continuous. Because it's always so much easier when you're studying them separately. And it's so much more difficult when you put them together and you have to choose the right one. So we'll start with that next time. And once again, if you enjoy these classes and you would like to become a premium subscriber, please go to this website at the top here. Oh, let me scroll back up to the top of my page. We have smartenglish.com/live/live. And I hope that you can become a premium subscriber someday. So thank you so much, everybody. I had a wonderful time, and I hope to see you all again very soon. So thank you, and goodbye.